This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
This is the Limitless Keith Lee, and I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open podcast. Mwah.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 182. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish, and Finn Balor gets attacked because he forgot about Keith. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be a hell of a week today because we're going to talk about NXT, AEW, Smackdown, and oh my God, Nick, there's so much news. There's so much news to talk about today. I am beside myself with the amount of things we have to discuss today. It's an exciting time to be a fan of wrestling.
Woo! Yes, it is indeed. So let's not waste any time. Let's get all the housekeeping stuff out of the way real quick, and we can dive right in. Guys, come over to the Facebook discussion group. You just go over to Facebook, search for Busted Wide Open. You can like our page and hit the join button to join our discussion group, where you'll find all kinds of fun topics, memes, good discussions about wrestling. It's a fun, safe, positive environment. We love that about you guys. Thank you for keeping it that way. You'll also find a link at the top to our Discord server for our Discord community, where we have live chats for all of the shows throughout the week and dedicated channels for all pay-per-views all throughout the year. In addition, for December, for our bonus episode, we are going to be doing the inaugural Busty Awards all throughout the year. And we thought, let's crowdsource it. Let's make it a little bit fun. Let's put a poll up there and let people decide the categories they want to hear. And Ian, I got to tell you, there are some really, really good ones and fun ones coming in. And I can't wait to do that episode. So make sure you guys vote, because we're going to be taking the top 10 of all those categories that are listed and making those the inaugural Busty Awards for 2019.
Busties? Really? Did we vote on this? Did we vote on this name? The Busties.
Yeah, we did. We actually had a discussion about the spelling. You may have forgotten that with all the news that you've been swimming in all week. But yeah, we remember I wanted to do T's like T-E-E, and we were like, Busties. Yeah, screw it. Let's just have a good fun time with it. So it's a little bit, on the nose. It's a bit of a joke, but at the same time, it's going to be fun, a lot like the categories that we're going to pick for that. But make sure you vote, because it's important. You guys are determining the categories, but you got to be in the Facebook group to do that. You can also find us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, streaming live right here on YouTube at youtube.com/BustedWideOpen every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, where we also do our weekly patron mailbag episode for all of our patrons immediately after this show today on Saturday. So roughly 5 p.m., but we always start immediately right after we finish with this one. But make sure you're subscribed over at youtube.com/BustedWideOpen and jingle that little notification bell so you get alerted anytime we go live or put up new videos, which I got to say, we've been doing a lot of those lately, and they've been going over like gangbusters. So thank you for liking all of the videos and sharing them. We're trying to overload the algorithm so we can get more hits and more subscribers and all the good stuff on the YouTube. So all of your help definitely assists in that, and we thank you for it. Last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are the fuel that rocks this machine, and we couldn't do it without all of you. But if you'd like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those tiers where you can get access to listener questions, full copies of our show notes that we use to record the show every week just at the $5 tier. And if you want to get on bonus episodes at the $10 tier, sweet swag at the higher tiers, and hell, even a Skype call with me and Ian once a month at the $50 a month tier. So yeah, all of that stuff is over at patreon.com/BWO. We try to keep all the ads out of the show. That is our one source of income that we use for this show for you guys to keep things clean and clear. So all your help is much, much appreciated. Oh, goodness. Ian, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get things in gear, kick it in the ass. Let's go over and talk about AEW.
Well, AEW kicked off this week with a pretty hot 3-on-3 tag match. The Young Bucks and Dustin Rhodes versus Proud and Powerful PNP and Sammy Guevara. Good way to start the show, man. Hot match, very fun.
We've seen that Bucks and LAX matchup several times ourselves in the more local scene. So a lot of fun.
That was what was I was wondering about this was, did this serve? I mean, it was a great match. It was fun. It was hot. Young Bucks and Dustin won. Dustin looked great still. I mean, that dude, you know, we were saying for a while there how incredible he looked back in WWE, and they never used him. Did this serve any purpose beyond just being a cool match? Like, one thing I want to do is, all these years we've been throwing critiques at WWE, and the critiques are X, Y, and Z. Well, if the same thing comes up on AEW, I don't want to let them off the hook because, it's AEW, they're new and fresh. And no, like, what was the purpose? What were the stakes in this match?
I don't really.
Did you have anything? Did you see anything, or was it just
no?
A
that we're going to have a big discussion about stakes and wins and losses mattering in this episode of Busted Wide Open today, because that was mostly ignored throughout this episode of AEW.
You think?
I want to get through some of that, yes, but I don't want to ruin anything we're going to talk about later or further down the AEW section. But yeah, I'm never mad at a Young Bucks and LAX matchup. That's always going to be a good time. Sprinkle a little Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara on there, too, to make it even more fun. Fantastic. So I have no complaints about this. I don't know what the story is. We had another singles match between two tag teams later on in the show. So several of these, actually. So I think they're nailing the tag division in AEW as completely opposite of what they're doing in WWE as they can.
I mean, it was one of their like mission statements. When we do AEW, we're going to have the greatest tag division in the world, which, honestly, looking at the competition, they didn't have to work too hard for that.
Right.
But I guess my question is okay, I see that the Young Bucks and PNP are having a feud. There's kind of an ongoing thing between the Elite and the Inner Circle. Beyond that, this was just a match, and that was something that I just had to take a step back on, and as a minor gripe, be like, you guys got to watch out for that, because this match is exciting now because everyone's new and fresh. 5 years down the road, this would not have been an exciting match other than it was well worked, right? So that's something that's kind of a theme of the AEW show today. Was honestly this week I started kind of seeing the cracks in the AEW product a bit. Places where I was going, you know what, guys, be careful of this, be careful of that. You know, make sure you don't fall into certain habits.
Sure.
So that was one. The next match we had was Phoenix and Trent, and this is coming off of a couple of weeks of the Best Friends beating the Lucha Brothers, and so then we have a singles match. Neither of the other, unlike in WWE, where you see like, you know, you have singles matches from the tag teams a few times if you're building for a tag match at a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But usually the other member is at ringside. Here it was a straight up singles match. It was Phoenix and it was Trent. And honestly, another really fun match. I mean, you can't fault the work rate. You can't fault the actual wrestling in AEW. But I don't know where they're heading with this. Like, is this an ongoing feud between Best Friends and Phoenix? Phoenix picks up the win here after a really fun match. But where does this leave both teams?
I'm not sure I remember where this came from in the first place. I know we've got a feud going on between SCU and Pentagon and Phoenix over the Christopher Daniels and Pentagon, which we also had that match. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm not sure where the Best Friends and Phoenix and Pentagon Lucha Bros came from.
Well, they've had a match on Dark. Trent has been going singles for a bit now. I don't know why Chucky T hasn't been working, but Trent has been going singles. He pinned Pentagon, he pinned Phoenix, and this was just another match in that series, and Phoenix got his back basically. But
Okay.
that's the thing. It's starting to feel a little bit like 50-50 booking with nothing advancing. I didn't feel this had advanced anywhere. There's stuff going on with SCU and the Lucha Brothers where I feel like there's an actual story. There's things that they're advancing. There's things that they're trying to build towards. But we'll get into that later on in this show because that's what was on the show as well. But this whole thing with the Best Friends and Lucha Brothers, I don't know what we're doing here. Yeah. I have no idea. I like the matches. I like the performers. But beyond that, I have no idea what's going on. The same thing is going on with what's happening with Cody. Cody came out after this to discuss what happened last week, which was him getting attacked by two new guys, the Butcher and the Blade, who nobody knew, which was a bit of a problem. This week, Butcher and Blade got a bit of a video package, which was there. They didn't really hit me either way, to be honest with you. I don't know. What did you think about the Butcher and Blade video package that you saw?
Are you talking about the thing where Allie cut a promo with them standing off to her sides?
Yep.
Yeah. It was all right. It was Allie talking.
Yeah. It was, but it didn't. I still don't know anything about him.
Do I like her as a valet? I'm torn. I'm 50-50 on that. It could work out really well, but I think she could really enhance the women's division.
I prefer this to like
skeptically optimistic is what I'll throw at the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny,
And you know what? Same here. Skeptically optimistic. Obviously, great look to everything, but I still don't know. Apparently, I guess MJF hired them to attack Cody is the underlying story, which, okay, cool. Fine.
He's got Wardlow. Why would he do that?
Go somewhere with it. Why not? I mean, the more the merrier, right?
All right.
He's got Wardlow's personal bodyguard. These are his mercenaries. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, cool. All right. Hey, I like factions. Bring me some factions. That's fine.
Exactly.
But, it came out of nowhere, and the fact that nobody knew who they were when they showed up last week is a problem. And that's lies on them. They needed to give us some sort of introduction, either have Jim Ross know who it was at the time, and he didn't, right? Or have it start like something like this. So
didn't the Dark Order suffer from this as well in the beginning?
Yeah,
it was more of a
big
spectacle,
time.
And now they're doing these huge videos of them, almost like Scientology, trying to get people to sign up and stuff like that.
Which are great.
And they're fantastic. And I'm like, why weren't you doing this before you ever debuted them?
Exactly. Now we know who they are. We can invest in them. Now they have a character. And say what you will about Vince McMahon, but he's very much gimmick first. He just very rarely has gimmicks that have any depth. They're very cartoony and one-dimensional. Yeah. He doesn't really let you do anything cool with them. But he's not wrong. People need something to grab onto. Something
substance.
It doesn't even have to be substance, just something that you can easily grasp. When someone comes out, you go, oh, that's the evil Scientology guy, right? If it's Dark Order, or Butcher and Blade.
Xenu.
Okay. It's
evil Xenu instead of evil Uno.
Sure. Okay. Right. Exactly. Yes. He's here to
check. If you know your Scientology, you know what I'm referring to.
He's here to check your midichlorian count or whatever it is.
Right. Trap your souls in ice blocks and send them out into space cruisers.
Drop them into volcanoes.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We could head down that whole path. Do you want to go on a boat, Nick? Let's go on a boat. Let's go on a cruise. They have their whole navy. But no, that now we can joke about it. We have a bit of a better grasp as opposed to, hey, look, it's the guitarist from Every Time I Die wearing a monocle and some guy who's wearing David Cronenberg's mask from Nightbreed and a hot chick in a bunny outfit. Like, okay, cool looking, but who are you beyond that, right? So that's a little thing, but it is one thing that philosophically speaking, WWE is kind of right on. If you're going to have people that are a little bit more of these out there characters, and it's a philosophical thing that could definitely be argued. If you look at New Japan, sometimes you tell who you are in the ring, and that's fine, but that's the expectation of their audience. In America, if you're presenting yourself as an alternative to WWE, which AEW supposedly is, you've got an audience that's speaking that language. And one of the faults of AEW right now is they're being presented a little bit as WWE light, or hey, look, we're WWE with a little bit more hip cred. But if you're going to be dealing in the same kinds of tropes, then you need and talking to the same audience, you need to be speaking to them kind of in a language that they understand.
Yeah.
And to that end, you've got to define your characters in similar ways. And like you said, they're doing that right now with the Dark Order, but they certainly weren't when they first came out. Yeah. And this is basically the Dark Order again, where Butcher and Blade come out. We're like, hey, all right, you look cool, but so what?
Was it a little bit of ego in the beginning, you think? Oh, we've been at this a couple of months now with AEW on Dynamite and with AEW Dark as well. Do you think it was a little bit of ego that people would just know who all these people that they signed were?
Well, not just that, but know who people who they signed were. We're watching Being the Elite. We're watching all of their YouTube content. We're watching AEW Dark. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they're putting on their show now where it's kind of on their commentary team too. Like, if there's stuff, you have to go in there assuming people are only watching your flagship show.
Yes.
Right.
If there's any lesson to learn from WWE, it's that, frankly.
Like, it's cool to have. No, you're right. You know, it's cool to have your stuff being built on other platforms. That's fine. Add more depth. But the top level stuff, like the big stories, you've got to have on your main show. And if there's something big happens somewhere else, do what WWE does and show us the video clip of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? If so-and-so got attacked and they come out with a broken arm and you never mention the broken arm, we're just sitting there going, what the hell is this? Well, how does this feed into the story? Especially if that broken arm has something that's very relative to do with the story. So, yeah, you can't just assume everyone's watching everything, and you can't just assume that, well, if they're not watching, they will if they want to know everything that's going on. And no, that's going to drive people away because they're going to be sitting there being confused.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's arrogance, but it's definitely something that they have to be careful of.
True. Very true.
And it's communication with the commentary. We mentioned how the commentary seems to have a bit of a disconnect. They've got to get on the same page with their commentary and tell them, like, this is the story we're telling. Make sure you hit these bullet points. And you don't have to be screaming in their ear like Vince McMahon to do that. So.
I enjoy Excalibur, and I think I said enough earlier on the Tuesday show this week about JR stuff. I don't need Oklahoma and podcast and chili references interrupting Excalibur calling out somebody hitting a big move. And I've gone back and watched, and after watching this week's, it was a little bit more.
Oh, man.
I'm paying a little bit more attention to what's going on. And if you were interrupting him with one of your legendary "by God" or "good God Almighty," he's broken in half, something like that. But I don't need the self-advertisement, JR. And that kind of stuff just really, especially when you're interrupting somebody that's play-by-playing the match as well as Excalibur does. Don't interrupt me for that. If you want to react to what happened in the match, fine.
It's weird because it's hard for me to think of JR doing color, but he's kind of become the color guy a little bit.
Yes.
Like, usually he's the I'm classically used to him being the straight man, the play caller.
He's not fast enough to do that anymore in today's wrestling.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's the right idea to have Excalibur calling all these crazy, and also all the crazy moves that are happening right now. But okay, so the Cody segment, we also had him calling out MJF. He said, okay, MJF has put it out there that he says he's never going to wrestle me. He'll wrestle everybody except for me. Well, guess what, MJF? I'll give you my truck. I'll give you $10,000. I'll give you my watch. Is it $50,000?
$50,000.
Oh my goodness! He's going to give him the watch off of his wrist, the shoes off of his feet. He didn't throw in Pharaoh, not yet. But he basically was like, "I'll give you everything. If you let me get my hands on you." So he wants MJF, but Butcher and Blade want Cody, and Cody has to pick a. Butcher and Blade had to pick Cody's partner, and they gave him QT Marshall as his partner for next week. So. Okay, this should be interesting. I'm curious where they're going with this. I mean, it's not a bad storyline angle by any stretch. But again, Butcher and Blade, we've got to get more definition from them. And I'm curious. It's kind of old school what they're doing with the MJF is dodging Cody, and Cody's like just doing anything to try and get him.
That I have no problem with. I like all of that, but I don't understand why Butcher and Blade are involved in it at all, other than the fact that they attacked him from behind.
Right. It needs to be I believe it's been defined somewhere that MJF hired them, but
all right,
needs to be defined more. We had a Nyla Rose segment. She had a match with Leva Bates, who she pretty much murdered. Peter Avalon got in her face, tried to shush her during the match. He got murdered, and then after the match, Shauna came in and tried to take out Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose not having it. She ended up putting Shauna through a table and then grabbed the ref and powerbomb the ref onto Shauna's corpse.
It was the other way around.
Was it always the ref
Shauna
first
down.
and then Shauna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's Shauna onto the ref. That's right.
Yeah.
The ref tried
Poor
to
Rick
stop
Knox
her.
went through the table first.
Rick Knox.
Yeah.
Rick Knox.
Taking bumps like a champ. Rick Knox
Love that man.
has all my love. There's a couple of the other refs that are kind of, I don't really know right now. Him and Aubrey are killing it, but the other two are like,
oh, whatever.
Right.
They're fine. They're getting used to this. But no. So okay. So this, and then at the end of it all, we find out that Nyla Rose has been suspended indefinitely due to her actions. What are we doing here, Nyla Rose? We're making her a killer. She's killing. Are we? Is this a feud we're building with Shauna? Like, what's the idea here? She's a monster. She's going through everybody. She's super angry.
That's fine, and we got the Britt Baker onlooking like we got from Takeover.
That's Adam Cole's girlfriend. Became a meme. Everyone's doing the Everyone's doing the Britt Baker. Okay, it's a cute little joke. Don't make a bigger thing. Like honestly, like I've seen people really bitching about how dare they do that? That's stupid. They're just driving, views to NXT and all this stuff. And we'll talk about some other aspects of AEW driving to NXT. It's okay. It's cute. It's a little nod. Don't make it a thing. Don't make it an ongoing. Every week someone's doing the Britt Baker. But one off, that was cute. It was cute. Yeah. I laughed. But what do you think? What's the plan with Nyla Rose here? Where are we going?
I think they're still in experimental mode with the women's division. We've got some new faces that showed up over the last couple of weeks. Let's just see. Again, I'm letting go of the wheel and just kind of seeing what happens with the women's division. I've said from the beginning it was wrong to make Riho the first champion. I think we've all collectively agreed that was a Kenny call, and I think they should have put it on a big monster, a dragon to slay, and it had the whole women's division going after the dragon.
Well, they kind of did that with the men's.
They did the total opposite of that.
They did it with the men's. They put it on Jericho. It's almost impossible to beat Jericho. And in the women's division, they put it on this little cute baby face. And they're building all these monsters now. And all these monsters are going to be coming for that baby face pretty soon. I mean, obviously, she did beat Nyla for the championship in the first place. But you've got a lot of other women in the division now that are starting to look very strong. Which we'll get
one
to
of which that we're going to talk about has my complete attention right now after her match.
Same. I know exactly who you're talking about. We'll get to her in a second. But first, speaking of Le Champion, Chris Jericho had another awesome segment. The highlight of the show for me was this segment here. He said that he was contractually obligated to defend his championship one more time in 2019. This is where things start getting interesting.
Right.
So he's contractually obligated to defend his title one more time. And he brought out the list of Jericho, the Lexicon of Le Champion, because he can't have a list of Jericho anymore. So now he's got the Lexicon of Le Champion, which, as the bibliophile of Busted Wide Open, I particularly appreciated that.
Yes.
And he read off a long list of everyone who he's not going to defend the title against. He said Jon Moxley a bunch of times as he was reading off the list. But he did not say the two people that came out next. And that was Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. And at that point, he said, well, it's not on there now, but the list does include dinosaurs and little kids. So you guys ain't getting a title shot either. Anyway, so then Luchasaurus had a little bit of a promo, which is always interesting to see this guy who's enormous and looks like a dinosaur, sounding like a complete and utter college nerd, like the guy that used to debate Nietzsche with while smoking cigarettes over coffee in the coffee shop in college.
Right.
So he said, basically, long story short, Jungle Boy came out, and Jungle Boy challenged Jericho. Jericho said, you couldn't last 10 minutes with me, and he challenged him. December 18th, we're having Jericho versus Jungle Boy. The whole point of this segment was TNT is saying you have to defend your title against somebody. And there was an uproar. Jungle Boy hasn't won a match yet. And a lot of people online were saying, well, what happened to matches counting, and your win-loss record, means you can get title shots. And if you don't have a good win-loss record, you don't get title shots. What happened to that? That's all you're promoting this company on. There's a guy who has not won a match yet. He's getting a title shot. And a lot of people were mad at that. The counter argument, of course, was that's the point. Jericho has to defend his title. And who better to defend? If he can pick who he's going to defend against, who better to defend against than a guy who can't win a match? So That's logical heel work there. In addition, here's the extra twist, is Cody came out within the last, I think, 24 hours and said, we never said it was a title shot after getting flack for this kind of thing. This is where I was like, Cody, what are you doing? No.
Let this play out, dude.
It's storyline wise, it made sense. Like, just explain it to them. Jericho can pick who he wants. If he wants to pick a loser who hasn't won anything yet, he can. That's the story. The whole point of the story was that it was a title match. He had to have a title match. Don't say it's not a title match now. Whoops. Whoop.
Now it just completely undid everything that you just outlined.
Right. So now this flip-flopping back and forth, everyone's got to get on the same page here in AEW. Like, it's a little bit of a cluster here right now.
Yeah.
So
now it means less to me than it did when you had a guy that was 0 in everything challenge for the title. That was kind of a perfect setup if you think about it. But people, I think, had that hip shot reaction of what
about
he hasn't won anything. Wins and losses matter. Hang on, guys.
Hashtag my wrestling. Yeah. So hold on. It did make sense, but now Cody responded and said, no, never mind. It's not a title shot. And now it doesn't make sense again.
Yeah. Damn it, Cody.
Doesn't make sense again. Come on. Doesn't make sense to hashtag my wrestling.
Oh, okay.
All right, so whatever. All of that aside,
what is the stipulation for the match now? Is it just if it's not for the championship, then what's the point?
Here's the thing. What's funny is because of what Jericho said, they should make it a Jungle Boy has to last 10 minutes with Le Champion match, and then if he does that, then he gets a title shot. Like, that would be a way to serve all of the masters here, wouldn't it? Say, all right, well, I have to have a title shot by the end of the year. Jungle Boy has to last 10 minutes with me, and then he gets a title shot. And then that way the title shot's in the contract somehow. Way you could explain it all, right?
You know what? So they're so new. There's something I've always wanted to introduce, and it's like kind of like in the G1. If you pin a champion, you get a title shot at some point regardless, right?
Exactly.
I think that would be a brilliant thing to institute in AEW. So you could have someone like Jungle Boy that's got 0 in everything as a win-loss record, but somehow he gets one over, whether it's a cheating angle or Luchasaurus gets involved or something, he still pins Jericho in a non-title match, he gets a legitimate title shot at that
Just
point.
happened with Scorpio Sky, right?
Exactly.
Scorpio Sky pins him in a tag match, and now he gets a shot at Le Champion. Because
Make that a thing. Make that part of your codex of AEW.
And you can have that add into storylines in tag matches where, guys are out there sacrificing themselves so that from the inner circle, so that Jericho doesn't get pinned. Because if he gets pinned, someone gets a title shot.
Right.
So that could be a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Could be fun.
Make it happen, Sir Rhodes.
Do it. All right. So next up, we got to talk about someone who definitely, we saw last week, but really, really popped my lid this week. Chris Statlander. And
I wasn't ready for this.
Had a great, fantastic match. Fantastic.
I don't even talk about the match yet. Let's talk about the entrance of Chris Statlander. Huge alien universe nerd, space nerd, and then she comes out with all the aliens weirdo stuff, and I was just like, who is this?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that chick that was a jobber last week, and now all of a sudden she's beating Hikaru Shida in a match?
But Hikaru Shida, the woman with the best record in the women's division, I'll add.
Exactly.
Beats her clean as a whistle, looks like a monster, and has this weird gimmick where she's, I guess, an alien who's here to learn about Earth through wrestling.
I'm in.
And, like, booping people on the forehead.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay.
I'm in.
Again, but again, it hasn't really been defined yet. Kind of like Butcher, like, I don't know who you are. Like, cool. Butcher and Blade, same thing. Cool looking gimmick. Give me more. With Chris, we actually see her in a match this week. Butcher and Blade, we haven't seen do that yet. Now that I've seen Chris in a match, okay, you got my attention.
And the repertoire of moves, how fast and well she worked in the ring, going with Hikaru Shida move for move.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, who is this chick? She looks awesome. Put the rocket straps on her.
I think I saw she's only been wrestling for a little under 3 years, right around 3 years, something like that. So still very, and seemed like she was still a little bit new, but my God, the potential is absolutely there.
The very high ceiling on that woman.
Yeah, the look, the presence, everything. And it's not like Shida's a slouch.
No.
Hikaru Shida's awesome. So this definitely This definitely got my attention, this match. However,
they could have Alien Charlotte on their hands.
I think they do have Alien Charlotte on their hands. Oh, God. Nanu. Instead of woo-woo. Instead of woo! Nanu. Anyway, that's a Mork and Mindy reference. Never mind. You're all too young. All right. So at the end of this, out comes Brandy and Awesome Kong. And now apparently they are the Nightmare Collective. And they got some chick from the audience to come into the ring and sacrifice a piece of her hair to Awesome Kong. So Nick just gave the thumbs up to me. Like you're down with this? You're cool with this?
You're doing a thing. You gave it a name. You gave it a purpose. You gave it a mission. And you had a random person come out of the crowd and just kind of sacrifice themselves for the collective.
But isn't this Dark Order only with women?
Maybe.
That's way too similar, I think.
I don't think so. I think that's more of a cultish vibe. This is more of like the voodoo. This is more of something going on where Brandy's, controlling Awesome Kong through some kind of spell.
Baron Samedi there? What was that?
The voodoo.
Oh my God. Was that Papa Shango? What are you doing?
No, I have no idea.
I don't know what this is either. All I know is that in presentation, it feels a little too close to the Dark Order for me. I would have separated it more. I think.
Not yet for me.
Okay. Well, so Nick is still okay. Nightmare Collective. Ian is more on the skeptical side. Nick on the optimistic side.
Yes.
We also had a match. Pentagon and Chris Daniels finally had a match. Obviously, Chris Daniels still reeling over the fact that Pentagon cost him the ability to be in the tag team tournament. So he's still mad at him. And nothing changed here because Pentagon beat him with a ref distraction and a low blow. Nick's favorite move, the distraction low blow.
And he took another package pile driver.
On the
neck.
Yeah.
That supposedly put him out of commission 3 weeks ago.
Tried to do a rope move to the outside and completely botched it at one point, Chris. I hope he's okay. That looked nasty coming down. But it happens. It's not ballet. But I guess the thing that I took away from this is this the kind of heels we want to see Lucha Brothers being? Like, for me, one of the reasons Pentagon got over was because he was this unstoppable, evil, psycho, ninja, skeleton, undead warrior thing.
Luchador thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just vicious and mean and badass. And he went back and forth between a heel and a face, more on the heel side, because he was just an asshole. But he wasn't ever a cheater. And he wasn't ever a backstabber.
He didn't need to be. That was the point.
He didn't, exactly. Whereas this feels more like he's kind of squirrely. And I've seen Pentagon do all different aspects of himself. Like, I've seen him in straight up comedy matches. And it's weird to see him in comedy matches. It's fun. He's really good. But it's weird to see him doing comedy matches. If you're going to have the Lucha Brothers be heels, shouldn't you have them be a little bit more of like monster heels, with Pentagon being the heavy, hard-hitting, badass dude and Phoenix being the insane high flyer who you can't escape?
Walk the entire rope, that kind of shit, yeah.
Sure. As opposed to just being kind of smarmy, egotistical, cheating heels. Yeah. It doesn't seem to me to be as engaging.
The inner circle around Jericho has the smarmy heel thing locked up. Smarmy cheating thing locked up. We need monsters. We need monster heels, and they are kind of the perfect tag team to be that, specifically Pentagon. And I don't think they need to be doing low blows. I think this was a bad call. They should not have done this with them. If anything, break his arm afterwards, beat him down afterwards, something like that. Be that heel for us. Don't be the dick low blow heel.
Right. I'm not saying you have to, copy and ape exactly what they did in Lucha Underground. I don't think it'd be possible to, because that was in its own entire world.
Right.
But something like, keep in mind the roots of what got him over in the first place. And it's more on him than Phoenix. Like, obviously Phoenix is, I think, more built as to be a babyface.
Sure.
That's just his style and his look.
There's an inevitable turn coming at some point.
He just is one. Well, it's like what we always say. There's certain people that are born to be baby faces, certain people that are born to be heels. Like, they just naturally, you look at them and you automatically just put them in one of those categories. You look at Pentagon, he's got a skull face. He's a heel,
Oh,
right?
he's
Or at least a,
evil.
or at least
God,
a
he's
badass,
bad.
or he's a
Yeah.
badass, right? Phoenix is like this. We've met him, Nick. He's the sweetest, nicest guy.
Yeah. And he was the
very
big baby face of
soft-spoken.
season 1 in Lucha Underground as well.
Because that's the impression
It
he
was
gets.
perfect.
He gives
Yeah.
off like this sweet, super nice guy feel when you see him. And his moveset is all facey too. So yeah, I question how they're booking them right now. I question how they're booking the Lucha. You can have them be heels, but just this is not the best way to portray them as heels. It's kind of like Sami Zayn when they first turned him heel. I'm like, it's just not connecting. I could see him being a heel, but just not quite like this.
So Crazy Nick booking moment. I think they're riding the coattails of the success they had in AAA with the titles against the Bucks, coming in as a tag team. I think it's inevitable they split. I think they could have a program where they fight against each other for some honor battle or something along those lines. That they've got at some point they've got enough things going on in the tag division now that I don't want to say they're not needed, but they don't need them to be a tag team is the way I would say.
Well, but the singles division is really packed too, and I think that they're going to need to, switch some things up to have that work.
I think in the new year we're going to start seeing some of that shell game happening where they're going to shuffle some chess pieces around.
That's why they came in as tag team. It's just the singles market's too full.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Jon Moxley and Joey Janela had another match. Great match. Fantastic match. Janela, honestly, like I've been critical of him over the last couple of weeks where, if you're a smaller dude and you're facing bigger dudes, you've got to make me believe that you can take him out. Totally believed it in this match. Well done. He's also been getting himself in some better shape too. Like he looked good when they were facing off the start of this match. He's a little oiled up, had those pecs going on. Like definitely he's looking better.
Yeah.
He's looking better. I love Joey's gimmick. I've always said that like, him being out of shape kind of goes with his gimmick, but on this kind of stage, he does need to get a little bit more meat, more muscle up there. You can have like no abs and be kind of a slob, but you got to have more muscle underneath it all.
Right.
Or something. But when is Joey going to win a match? I guess is my question.
I don't know that at this point. I'm kind of okay with what he's doing. So I'm all right with this because I think there's going to be a moment where he has a huge win, and it's going to be that signature win, and it's going to pop him even harder because he's almost gotten there so many times. Even at this point, he's almost gotten there. But I think there's going to be that one win that he gets, and it's going to be big enough that it'll propel him up. We've got the new ring thing in the mid card that MJF has. We had talked about introducing another upper mid card belt of some sorts, a title. There's going to be opportunities for these singles guys to fight for things that are not the AEW Championship, and I think he's going to have one of those moments sometime in the near future.
You're saying this is going to be a long-term story.
I think the whole thing with Joey is going to he's good enough to where he can eat the losses and still be over with the crowd. Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Well, that is AEW, Nick, but we have plenty more to talk about, starting with NXT.
Well, this week, Mauro Ranallo was opening things up at NXT, but all of a sudden you had Killian Dane walk out into the ring and interrupt Mauro. Killian Dane wanted Damian Priest. And comes just roaring out, and Damian doesn't come out, but you know who does?
Damian's got the bum ribs.
Yeah.
He's got the bum ribs. You know who doesn't have bum ribs?
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne. He's not happy with Killian Dane either.
Yes.
All right. Well, it looks like we're going to have Killian Dane versus Pete Dunne. And we did. And you know what? Killian Dane won. It was a smash mouth, hard-hitting match.
It
kind of
delivered.
What you'd expect. Yeah, it was fine. Pete Dunne went for a sleeper hold on the top turnbuckle on Killian Dane. Not the smartest thing he's ever done. Killian Dane falls backwards. Full weight lands on Pete Dunne. 1, 2, 3. All over. But the crying. Okay, so these guys are continuing to feud. It sounds like Damian Priest still involved as well. Why have these guys continue to feud? Is this building towards, we're going towards North American Championship at some point? That's going to get involved with Roddy once he's done with everything else that's going on. That's my one question. The other question is, did Pete Dunne, the guy hadn't been pinned for a year and a half when he was the UK champ. Did this make him look like an idiot?
No.
Trying to choke a dude out?
I think the fact that Killian Dane did pin him on those grounds makes him look like more of a monster. And I think he needed this. So I'm fine with it. I think Pete Dunne will be fine. I don't want it to have to be for a title or some kind of stakes. I want them to just be able to have a blood feud.
Dane was making the belt sign at the end of this match. That's what made me think about it. Was he was going like I couldn't hear what he was saying.
We kind of
Robber making the belt sign.
Well, we kind of found out why at the end, right? Or is that going to? No, that was for different guys. I don't know.
No, different guys.
I don't. I was trying to remember if those guys were going to be involved in that or not, but they're not. So maybe this the Worlds Collide thing that's happening on the 15th or the 18th is going to involve that somehow. Maybe the winner gets a #1 contendership for the North American title at the end of the day. So who knows? Who knows?
Dog Ziggler very excited about the prospect of this being for Worlds Collide.
Yes.
We also had your boys, the Forgotten Sons, getting a squash match on Adrian Alanis and Leon Ruff from Evolve. They came over to get murdered by the Forgotten Sons. And including at the end of this, what I know had to have been one of your favorite moves of the week, Nick, and that was Jackson Riker choke slamming, who was it? Adrian Alanis, I think, choke slamming him onto the apron on the outside.
He murdered that dude. He did. That man by God, he's killed him. He choke slammed him up over the ropes and down onto the apron.
Yep.
That and I think I even messaged Sheriff McDonald and said, "By God,
he's killed him.
Riker killed that dude."
Riker just staring into the darkness, just down where the guy fell.
Stares into his soul. Good Lord. Riker's on the fast track, you boys. He's the prototype. Ian hates me saying it, but he's the prototype. Watch out.
Okay,
it's coming.
All right. Yeah. No, wasn't he supposed to main event WrestleMania this year, Nick? How's that going for you?
Might have gotten delayed, you know.
It might have gotten delayed.
Yeah.
Forever. So Forgotten Sons, still, we're being reminded that they're there and that they can be killers. All right. Interesting. Matt Riddle. We have another rematch with him and Cassius Ohno, who came back in. All right.
Well, hang on. So Cassius Ohno had a video promo package thing before the match where he said he's now the greatest British wrestler. Huh?
He's been over at NXT UK.
You've been there for like 2 weeks.
He's been there longer than that.
I know, but
that's great heel stuff. It's hilarious, But yeah, he came back in once again to lose. Riddle is, I think, 4-0 now in their feud.
Yep.
I don't care. This was a great match. It was a fun match. I don't care. The one thing I did notice was that Ohno, when he was cutting his promo, had a little Suzuki Gun towel.
What?
Look at this. Yeah, he had a Suzuki Gun towel.
I didn't notice that. Okay.
Yes,
I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, which is very strange because I was like, has Cassius Ohno ever even faced Minoru Suzuki? Like, I know he was in Noah. I know he did a little bit of Dragon Gate and some Chikara. But I was like, has he ever faced Minoru Suzuki? I looked it up. He actually has not ever faced Minoru Suzuki in a one-on-one match, but he has faced him in a tag team 2 or 3 times. So like a multi-man tag match. So he has been in the ring with Minoru Suzuki before.
Yeah.
So there you go. But he's done a lot of work with Zack Sabre Jr. But that before Zack Sabre was Suzuki Gun. Anyway,
gotcha.
Long story short, because speaking of New Japan, Kushida is back. Kushida is back from his wrist fracture, I believe it was.
Yeah.
He got in that match with Walter. And he was supposed to have a match with Raul Mendoza. Poor Raul Mendoza did not make it to the ring because he got stomped through the floor by Cameron Grimes. And then Cameron Grimes said, "Oh, no, your match is with me." And we ended up having a very nice match between Kushida and Cameron Grimes. Where are you at with Cameron Grimes right now, man? Like, I know we were talking about his whole like hillbilly bushwhacker from the Bayou thing that we saw last week.
I'm okay with it. It's grown on me. I'm fine with it. Plus, he plays the character really well. He reacts really well. He emotes really well. And I think you need that for that kind of character. And at the same time, we've seen enough of Cameron Grimes now to know that he can beat the hell out of you. He can go speedy if you want to. And matching him up with Kushida was nice. Give these guys a little bit more time, and they could put on a friggin' wrestling clinic between the two of them. So I think that this is a good matchup. I hope we get more of it. But again, we talk about stakes a lot on the show. What are the stakes here? Do we see these guys go into I mean, we've seen Kushida have matches with Walter, but do we see these guys, now that NXT's absorbed the Cruiserweight, do we see these guys challenge Leo? Do we see these guys going for the North American or for the NXT? Where does this go from here? Or is this just a feud?
Yeah, well, the other question I have is, what's Kushida's purpose in NXT?
Right.
Is he there to go get himself titles and be a big star, or is he there to help teach younger guys who are also cruiserweights like himself how to wrestle multiple different styles? Because Kushida can wrestle any style. So is he there basically to help other younger guys like Cameron Grimes and work with them? Which, either way, I'd be happy with. If Kushida's just there to be a mentor and be a brain to pick and work these matches and help, train up these guys, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If Kushida's there to go win a whole bunch of titles, that's also awesome. As long as I just love Kushida. That's
packed house at the top of the card right now in NXT, though.
It's packed all around. By the way, I got to correct myself. I'm thinking about it. It was Leon Ruff who took the choke slam from Jackson Riker. Just don't want to go out there and have everyone think that I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
I get corrected. So we had, speaking of the student and the master, we had Shayna Baszler and Xia Li have a match. Xia was bullied by Shayna one too many times. She was not going to take it anymore. And we actually I thought this was a pretty fun match. Short match. It was fun. A lot of striking. A lot of really nice stuff we don't see from Shayna that often. And I thought Xia got to get in there with someone who can actually, respond to her pretty well. I actually enjoyed this a lot, even though I wanted more at the end of it. Even
though I enjoyed the hell out of it, I would have enjoyed it more if Shayna weren't as established already for the last couple of years as she is. Because I kind of didn't take it seriously because it was Xia Li.
Well, I know what's happening here, yeah.
So, and ultimately, yes, we just end up, Shayna just grabs her, puts her in a chokehold, and match is over. And that's what you've heard me say multiple times on the show. I'm just kind of meh about that. Like, when they were actually striking with each other and you found someone in the back that can actually go, has the strength and has the mixed martial arts background as Xia Li does, that can go toe-to-toe with Shayna Baszler like that,
yeah,
you got me all excited.
Well,
for about 5 minutes until Shayna gets her in the clutch and we're done. And I'm like,
which is, but that's the perfect story to tell for Shayna right now, is that you get in there. She's like, okay, Shayna can get in there and grapple. She can get in there and just be mean with people who are trying to just pro wrestle her. Okay, but she gets in there with a striker and she's in there throwing up blocks and striking back, and then just trying to get her into a ground and pound situation. And then as soon as, and it was, Xia Li came in with that awesome axe kick and missed, and it was that one mistake, and Shayna pounced, got her in the Kirifuda, and it was done. I thought that was a really nicely told short story there. Was Shayna, she can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody. Xia looked good, but she just made a mistake, and you can't make a mistake with Shayna Baszler, or she will punish you for it.
What happens when Shayna Baszler finds herself in a match where submissions don't count, is what I would like to understand. I'd like to see her in a match where she can't use the Kirifuda clutch, where she can't submit somebody. I want to see that. I want to see her actually pin somebody.
If we're getting here on like just dream booking, what I'd like to see is her in a match like that where pinfall. It's no submission. It's pinfall only or last woman standing or something, and she uses the Kirifuda clutch. She always says, right, tap, nap, or snap an arm. Have that be the story, that she's actually able to snap someone's arm or leg or whatever. I think that they've used that in one match before where she's actually broken someone's arm. I forget who it was.
Dakota Kai?
But no, but that was the end of the match. I mean, like, she broke their arm partway through the match, or dislocated their shoulder. That I always love it when they use that as a storytelling technique in the match. If someone is able to sell that properly, I love that.
I'm going to start calling it the Kirifuda crutch, because that's what I feel like Shayna Baszler. I want to see her do more than that move. And I would give the same. I used to have the same critique of Joe, right? When
that's
Joe,
not on them. That's how the way WWE does it.
I understand, but I feel like it becomes a one-trick pony kind of thing after a while, and it just becomes repetitive. And I'm just
But that's how WWE builds its matches. That's why John Cena was known as doing the 5 moves of doom. Is like all of their top level people do.
And we all hated it.
Minimum, right? I would love to see someone pull out their full arsenal every time too, and find different ways to submit people. I always prefer the Zack Sabre Jr. method of submission wrestling, where he can submit you in 17 different ways.
He just creates them right there.
Right.
Like, I've never seen that before. What is that? The Okada match where we're like, what is that?
But you're making these matches not for people who watch, necessarily a lot of wrestling and will understand that X, Y, Z are all different, reversals into different submission maneuvers. They're doing it so that anyone will see her go into something that looks like that, and they'll go, oh, that's a submission move. That's her Kirifuda clutch. That's going to end the match, and that creates the excitement for the match, is because you may not know a lot of different holds she's applying, but as soon as you see that, oh, that's a match ender, right?
Yeah.
People who might not pay as much attention to all the minutia of the matches will see that and go, I know that that's her finishing move. I know that people go to sleep in that. So that's why it's used so much, Nick.
Yeah. All right.
Whether or not we like it, there is a logic behind it. I know. Hashtag my wrestling. Dakota Kai. Remember when you were worried about her turning heel?
Not anymore.
Man, nope, not at all.
I think I was pretty clear about that on Tuesday.
But you know what? It got even better.
Yeah.
She was fantastic this week too. She called out Rhea Ripley. She and Ripley had a match, and she came out looking just mean as hell. Talking vicious, like she gets how to play a heel. She gets it. So out comes Ripley at the top of the ramp, said, Dakota, that was a cute little swerve you gave us at War Games. Wasn't really a fan of it, but you know what? You're not the only person who can swerve people. Guess what? Your match isn't with me. It's with her. And out comes Mia Yim looking hot, like pissed, not like gorgeous. Gorgeous too, but, come out hot. And just like stalks to the ring, and she and Dakota get into it. That was good stuff, man.
Yes.
I loved how Mia Yim came out here.
I do too. I want to see where this goes, because ultimately, does this turn into something where we end up with the horsewomen? Or do we bring this back? Exactly, because they came out.
Well, this is the thing, is that this wasn't the end. It wasn't. Dakota and Mia Yim got into it. So they have beef because Dakota took Mia out before the War Games match. And so now Mia is going to stomp a mud hole in Dakota with her Timbas, because she wore Timbas to the ring, Nick. She was fighting in Timberlands. Good Lord. That's street right there.
That is.
But so it looks like we're going to head into a feud with Dakota Kai and Mia Yim. Cool. Fine with that. But then out come the horsewoman to take everybody out, and they end up holding Rhea Ripley's arms over the ropes while Shayna Kirifuda clutches her until she's passed out. So it looks like Shayna Ripley, we're getting that match on December 18th. Shayna stood over Ripley's fallen body and said, you want a match? You get a match December 18th. Let's have it.
Yep.
Interesting, Nick, that we're having this title match at the last show before the holiday break here. What do you think about that, Shayna? Does this mean Ripley's shit out of luck with that because it's not a pay-per-view? Or are they going to shock the world and strap Ripley now and then have Shayna hang out all of January and come out at the Rumble?
Get out of my head. I was waiting for you to finish so I could say exactly what you just said. Yeah.
Sorry.
Rhea Ripley has the Saturn V rocket boosters strapped to her back, and she is on an ascent. Shayna Baszler's had a nice 2-year run. It's time for new blood. Bring Shayna up. They need a new Ronda Rousey because she ain't coming back. And Shayna slots right into that mold. And they can build around it. Please bring up Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke with her, if only to be the Goon Squad.
Sure. Have them be her Mercury and Noble. Why not?
Exactly.
But at the same time, look at where Becky is right now. She's
also
probably going to come in.
We'll talk about that other thing later.
Okay.
We flipped somebody else's face this week on the other show, so my brain's been cooking this week. I've been working on the writing. That's why my brain's been cooking a little bit this week.
Who did they flip face? All right. But yes. Oh, she was face last week. She went full face.
It was made very apparent this week.
Made very clear. Yeah. Made very clear this week.
In a military town.
Big time. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But no, just real quick with one last thing about Shayna. Becky's not going to have anything to do after TLC, I don't think, because she's going to help Charlotte with the Kabuki Warriors, and then she might have nothing planned. If she holds the title till WrestleMania, which is possible, it's only a couple months away, you could have her and Shayna at WrestleMania, and you already built that at Survivor Series. That's a pretty hot match. So
it is, and I think they could hold her on to Mania, but I think it'd be an interesting spot to have her come in and compete very heavily, get into the top 3 at the Women's Rumble match here in about 6 weeks. So that would make her, that would be a really fun build towards Mania, towards something, if they get her involved.
Shayna, you mean? Yeah, completely agreed. Nick, one final thing here on NXT this week, and that was that we had, well, Nick, I don't even know where to start with this.
Speaking of Saturn V rocket boosters being strapped to the back, I give you Keith Lee. Keith Lee, this was a fantastic story to round out the show. You had so many dimensions happening here at the end of the show. And I'm terrible at like recapping. Like, you're way better at this than I am.
All right, well, let me try this. So Undisputed Era came out to the ring. Yeah. No Bobby Fish because Dijak and Keith Lee injured him last week, which they legitimately did. And Cole says, the year of the prophecy has just begun. There's more to come. No matter who pounces me into the crowd. And he also said, Finn Balor, you're on my shit list as well. You hit me out of nowhere. That wasn't cool. So Undisputed Era out there bitching and moaning about their state of the business. And of course, you should come out to respond to this, but Keith Lee. And immediately gets the trash starts getting talked. Undisputed Era saying Keith Lee is just a flash in the pan. He's just a moment maker and nothing more. Yeah, yay, you were in the ring with Roman Reigns, but guess what? You lost. And Lee has a chance to respond. He says, that's interesting, guys. And they're like, what are you looking at? He goes, I'm just looking at you guys, trying to figure out which one of your titles to take first. Oh, the crowd loves it. They all start jumping. They all jump him at the same time. Out comes Ciampa to defend him. And we end up having Ciampa and Lee posing in the ring. We end up getting a match later on. Let me get my notes here. I want to make sure I get this right. Dijak comes up to Keith Lee and Ciampa backstage. They know they have to have a 3-on-3 match later on. Dijak says, I'm in. And we have Dijak.
I must break you.
I must break you. Keith Lee, Dijak, and Ciampa versus the Undisputed Era in the main event of the night, which, as you would expect, broke down at a certain point. Finn Balor showed up. Drop kicked Adam Cole in the back, which always makes me cringe because I go Sasha Banks and Paige. Careful. And then he gives Ciampa 1916.
Which also made me cringe. So I'm like, no, not the Ciampa. Oh, God.
Not Ciampa's neck. And then he goes over in the corner like he's going to take some guys out. And we get probably, Keith Lee does it again, another gifable moment. Because you know what? Finn Balor forgot something. Finn Balor, this is to you, buddy.
He did it.
Don't you forget about Keith. Don't you. He forgot about Keith. And as he's standing in the corner ready to take people out again, this gigantic Keith Lee looms up behind him like the moon in Majora's Mask. Just comes up out of nowhere. Grabs him, spirit bombs the hell out of him. That was fantastic.
Something I want to call out that happened before the show went on air, and Tom from Cultaholic tweeted this out. Do you remember his original tweet of him and Ross doing the "Don't You Forget About Keith"? They put that up on the Tron before NXT went live, so that everybody knows to go look at it. So it's coming, guys. As much as you heard them cheering, "Bask in His glory," what Keith has been putting up, it's coming. Don't you forget about Keith is coming.
Oh, my God. We said it was going to be a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So the end of this match, Keith Lee actually ends up pinning Adam Cole. Cole went for the last shot, missed. Keith Lee spirit bomb, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, not spirit bomb, just the jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. And William Regal comes out, and of course he says, you know what? Fine. This means all of y'all have an opportunity at Adam Cole, but we got to figure out which one of you is getting that one shot. Ciampa, Balor, Lee, December 18th. Winner gets Adam Cole. Ooh. The only problem there is I think you and I both know Keith Lee's not winning that match.
Yeah, it's going to be
This was his moment right here.
Yeah.
But what a moment it was.
And I think they're going to put him over big time in that match.
Make him look great, but
it's going to be Ciampa getting a, what is he called? Failed something. What's his finishing move?
What?
What's Ciampa's finishing move? The Fable Lullaby or something? I can't remember what it is.
Fable Lullaby?
I don't know. Whatever the hell Ciampa's finishing move. Final something. It's basically a DDT.
Project Ciampa? Or what are you talking about?
Where he puts him in like the lift, like almost he's going to do a pedigree, but he ends up like DDTing him. I don't remember what that move is
The double
called.
arm. Okay.
Whatever. He's going to sneak in and do one of those, and he's going to win. Ciampa's going to get Goldie back for sure.
You think, huh?
Yep.
I think Finn Balor squashes his plans.
Not yet.
Okay. My last question here is, what is up with Dijakovic? Like, is he getting kind of short stick here? Like, he had a really cool spinning plancha off the top rope to the outside at one point. Like, he got a couple of big spots. Like, the dude's out there putting in work.
He is.
But he's just like, he's kind of just a couple of steps behind Lee and Ciampa and everybody else in terms of popularity. What does he need to do to get over here?
I just don't think he's getting noticed. I don't think he's getting as much as we talk about moments with Keith Lee, and as much as it was called out on the show that he was getting all these moments, they're important. Yeah, fairy tale ending. Thank you, Indie Gal.
Fairy tale ending. That's it.
Fable Lullaby. I'm just going to call it that from now on.
Fabled Lullaby.
Fabled Lullaby. Fairy tale ending. That. I think his Dijak just hasn't connected yet. So, yeah,
what's he gonna do?
Butters. He does feel like the third wheel, fifth wheel kind of guy.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? He's going to be really pissed off that he didn't get the opportunity, and he's going to turn on Keith again. And we're going to continue that.
Seems redundant. But I'm not mad at that because I could watch those guys
We never really got a finish to it, did we?
Fight forever. No, they became the Monstars again. Or do they? I mean, there's no tag division. Do they go to the tag division and win the belts? Keith Lee did say, I'll take one whatever belt, I'll take it.
I'd rather see him go after the North American Championship myself.
All right. Well, I think he already had a Roderick Strong match. But anyway, neither here nor there. Next week we get Rush versus Garza 2. I love how they're building the feud. That video package for it was fire. We're also getting Dakota Kai and Mia Yim next week. So still good stuff in the future for NXT. But also in the future for us, Nick, is TLC. It's coming up in a week and a day. Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's a week from tomorrow.
Oh, I wouldn't have known had you not just said it.
You wouldn't have known from Raw, but you might have known from the other show of the week because they did do some build for TLC on SmackDown. Now, I was going to say SmackDown Live, but now it's called Friday Night SmackDown.
Friday Night SmackDown, yes, we finally got some TLC matches.
Yes, right up the street from you, Nick. They had this in Fayetteville.
Fayetteville is what we call it.
Oh my God!
It's Fort Bragg.
Wow.
So the only thing, it's about 45 minutes south of me. About the only thing in Fayetteville outside of Fort Bragg are strip clubs and meth. That's about it.
Well, that's where they had the show this week.
But notice they didn't call out anything at Fort Bragg. They also they went to Camp Lejeune, which is about 2 hours away over in Jacksonville, North Carolina, on the coast, where there's the Marine base, Camp Lejeune. That's where they said they did all the outreach. They didn't do it at Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, where they were.
Okay, so
I'll leave it at that.
Insider information from Mr. Howell.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, also interesting is the kind of the large swerve we got on one of our main angles. Last week, Daniel Bryan dragged down into hell by the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, at the end of the show. The Fiend sticking his head back up to throw pieces of what looked like Daniel Bryan's hair out into the ring. Oh. Huge clumps of hair. We thought Daniel Bryan was going to come out this week looking like a shorn lamb after shearing day, but no.
He's got the mange!
It's no Daniel Bryan to be seen. Instead, The Miz. The Miz came out saying that he was going to get to the bottom of what happened to Daniel Bryan. I want to know what the Fiend did to Daniel Bryan. And Bray interrupted him on the Tron saying, you don't want to know. You don't want to know because we're not done with him yet. And in fact, he didn't think Bryan was going to make the TLC for the match we thought we were going to have there. But you know what, Miz? I kind of want to play with you instead. Not only do I want to play with you, I want to play with your family.
Uh-oh.
Because here's the thing. I've seen people online kind of gripe about Miz's involvement with this feud up until this point. And I haven't been mad at it because I felt like Miz was adding another dimension, another dynamic to it, where Daniel Bryan is being very silent and taciturn right now.
Yeah.
And we're having a hard time understanding what's going on in his head. Miz has been very clear. He doesn't like Daniel Bryan, but on some level he cares about him because he sees, there's a reflection there, right? Miz and Daniel Bryan have always been a bit of a reflection of each other, for better or for worse, yin or yang, however you want to look at it. And here Miz is looking at Daniel Bryan, who he sees walking into the lion's den, essentially, and saying, we both have families, and I'm looking at you doing something dangerous here, and you shouldn't do this. And now he's worried about Daniel Bryan, and now this monster that he was trying to keep Daniel Bryan away from has turned its attention to him.
Yeah.
And not only to him, but to his family. And Bray Wyatt even said, I used to have a family, and he held up a little Wyatt family photo.
With Daniel Bryan in it.
But yeah, right. The Daniel Bryan Wyatt family. So they're actually calling back to that. But then he says, I want a new family. And he held up the picture of Miz, Maurice, and their 2 kids. Later in the show, after Miz says that he wants a piece of Wyatt, Miz on the phone with Maurice, and later on the show, he's walking down the back hallways and he sees a red light coming from a room, and he goes in there and he finds the picture of his family. Only Wyatt's in the picture now. And then he gets attacked by Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend, by the way. He gets attacked by Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt.
Was this the first, this was the first live interaction we've seen of Bray Wyatt in the Mr. Rogers getup?
Yeah. So basically he attacks Miz, leaves him laying out, leaves the photo on his chest. And it looks like we're going to be getting Miz versus Bray Wyatt at TLC. We don't know what stipulation of the match will be, if it's even got a stipulation. But 2 things here. One, was this smart to pivot this feud to Miz for now? And 2, is this giving us our first look at how the Fiend could possibly be beaten if we start getting Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt, let's call him the Funhouse Bray, as a wrestler? I'm very curious to see how they book Funhouse Bray as opposed to Fiend Bray.
Is he a scaredy cat? Does he run away from everything,
or is he just like average guy? Because we've been saying the Fiend is too unbeatable. He's too powerful.
You remember how when Seth came into the Funhouse, he was begging off Seth.
Right.
And he didn't, don't do this, Seth. No, and he started getting upset and everything, and it just, a very soft kind of, don't hit me. Is that the kind of match we're going to have where Miz starts to feel guilty about beating down a helpless, defenseless kind of character? Does this take Miz back to the dark side? Well, there's all kinds of things that could happen here.
There are, and I don't know where the hell you went there, but yes, there are lots of things that can happen. Here's the interesting other thing. It's a non-title match.
Yeah.
So Miz could beat the absolute crap out of Funhouse Bray, and all of a sudden we'll all be sitting there going, oh, only the Fiend is impervious and immortal. At some point, if it's a title match if someone tricks regular Bray into having a title match, there we go. Now, all of a sudden, there's a whole nother level to this. That's a really interesting twist. And in my opinion, like that actually really re-engages me with this whole Fiend thing. Daniel Bryan apparently is very closely involved with his character and with the arc of this whole Fiend storyline, which I can't blame him for being after the debacle that happened over the summer and fall with his storyline with Roman. Like, I would be involved too, especially with something that, as we've said, is this delicate. Because this is a feud that could really go either way and has huge implications both for Daniel Bryan and The Fiend, who are both kind of on, in my opinion, shaky footing right now with their characters.
The irony of this whole thing to me is that this is exactly how I envisioned this kind of thing playing out, but with Finn Balor and in about 3 months at post-Rumble as we head towards Mania, where we get soft, defenseless sort of brittle Bray Wyatt in the what do we call him? Funhouse Bray. That led to the Demon versus the Fiend in several encounters leading up to Mania, and we get the big main event of Demon versus Fiend. That's how I saw this playing out when we first saw the Fiend this summer. That was really what just popped in my head. Was like, and now we're kind of getting it this side with the Miz, and I'm going, yeah, but wait, why wouldn't you take advantage of that opportunity that we were talking about 6 months ago?
Right.
That said, I'm with you. I like this. I'm coming back around a little bit on the whole Fiend and Bray thing, especially if we're getting Funhouse Bray involved, and he does prove to be fragile and beatable.
Sure.
Is that the thing that summons the Fiend in an even more vicious way? And the thing I was alluding to with Miz is, like, does Miz have to go back to his Healy tactics? Is this the thing that maybe flips him back eventually?
No, I like the fact that he's being a super babyface here and is like all about family and
my family, my Monroe Sky and my Maurice.
Yeah, and he's like, and I love the fact that we have a lot of history here too between him and Daniel Bryan to fall back on. That's something that we don't get enough in wrestling, is an awareness of history, an awareness of the changing shades of these characters' relationships and interactions in this bizarre world that they all live in and share. And sometimes we have to suspend our logic in a massive way to believe some of these character shifts. This is one that's you can kind of get engaged with. You can believe that Miz and Daniel Bryan have had their differences over the years. They kind of hate each other, but they kind of respect each other. And Miz and Daniel Bryan also see a little bit of themselves in each other where they are with their careers right now.
Yeah.
And to have Miz kind of get drawn into this vortex of evil of what that Bray Wyatt has created, it's kind of cool. I dig that. I dig the little nuances here. It's still my favorite thing on SmackDown is what they're doing with this. It's been intriguing me for weeks. I'm much more confident in them being able to tell a good story with it now because of the things they did this week, where I go, okay, I like where they're going with this.
The one thing I'll call out there that we hadn't mentioned yet is that Funhouse Bray did put a picture of Daniel Bryan with the red X's crossed out up on his wall. And we've been conditioned to believe that that's a defeat, that the Fiend has defeated that person.
Not only a defeat, like it's become part of, I don't know if it's canon yet, but it's something that's been a storyline point where if Bray beats you, something happens to you. Yeah. Seth is going heel. Finn went heel. Kane disappeared. Like, bad things happen. Jerry Lawler forgets how to commentate. Like, bad things happen to you if Bray Wyatt beats you down. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Daniel Bryan in that sense. But that was the upside of the show. I don't know if I'd call it a downside, but the other side of the show was the main event. Roman Reigns and Dolph Ziggler had a match. The feud with him and Corbin is continuing. Corbin saying he's going to humiliate Reigns for all the times that Reigns has humiliated him. Reigns saying Corbin just can't get one over on me, even though he's bigger and stronger. Blah, blah, blah. We have the match with Dolph Ziggler. It's what you'd expect. Corbin tries to interfere. He doesn't. Roman ends up spear 1, 2, 3, beating Dolph Ziggler. But after the match, all of Roman's, what would you call them? Throne carriers?
Right. No, you mean Corbin's throne.
Corbin's throne, whatever. Throne bearers.
The King's Court.
The King's Court. The King's Court all come at Roman like a bunch of zombies in Minecraft. And he takes them out pretty handily. Except for the one random dude who's under the ring. I don't know who that was, but like a pair of hands grabbed him under the ring and held his leg. And next
we don't know who that is.
We don't know. You don't know, Nick. You don't know. It's sensational Sherry. She's under the ring. You don't know where she's going to be. Roman ends up getting zip tied to the ring post. And then because he's the big dog and we have to be literal about everything in WWE, Corbin and Ziggler proceed to smear Roman head to foot with wet Alpo, with dog food, which was a hell of a final image to the show as Roman just kind of like, he's just like a sacrifice, like, hanging from the outside of the ring post, covered in dog food.
So before we go any further, there's one thing I want to call attention to.
Okay.
At the end of the match, there were about 8 to 10 minutes left in the show. I specifically called this out in our live chat, and I remember other people going, well, how are they going to finish? Are we going to get some kind of weird, are we going to get a setup? Is Daniel Bryan going to come out with his like head shaved all weird? And is something going to happen? No. They used the last 10 minutes of a week before your last pay-per-view of the year to handcuff Roman Reigns, effectively crucify him from the ring post, and smear dog food all over him.
As you do.
As you and even then Roman was we were all expecting like the handcuffs to break and for him to hulk up and just go crazy. No, that's how we went out on Friday night.
Well, isn't it nice to every once in a while see Roman Reigns be vulnerable?
I think we've seen him be vulnerable over the course of this year. After coming back from leukemia.
Anywhere near like this?
No, and then I think for me it wasn't about Roman Reigns being vulnerable. I liked this because it made King Corbin, he came out on his chariot, whatever it was, with the King's Court carrying him. He was watching the match as if he was watching the Gladiator games or something like that, right? I dug all of that atmosphere work that they did with that.
Sure.
And then to come over, even after victory, to come over and attack Roman Reigns. And I was okay with this. The dog food stuff, like that's how you're going to end the show. Like there were so many better things that they could have gone dark with than this image of Roman Reigns hung from the ring post smeared in dog food.
I admit it's not the most intense image ever, but at the same, like, again, he's the big dog, let's smear him with dog food. That is also a very kind of Corbin-y thing to do, is just, it's dog food because it's a big dog.
I'm not mad at what they did. I'm mad that that's how they ended the show.
But why not? Because Roman is the big deal on the show in Vince's mind. This is one of the big matches they want to have for TLC is Corbin versus Reigns. They need to hype it up. They need
the only
to get
one I know of yet.
Well, there's a few now. We have Miz versus
Funhouse Bray. Yeah.
A couple more they made.
All right.
Another one we'll talk about later. But they need to give some heat to this match, and having Roman Reigns, 1, look vulnerable, and 2, be humiliated by Corbin. So now he's got a reason to get revenge, and there's people who are big Roman fans who are going to want Corbin's head for this. That's how, that's how you finish a show. This is building to, what did we say on Monday? You built towards no TLC matches. They went home. They opened the show starting a TLC match with Miz and Bray. They closed the show, putting a big boom, big period point, exclamation point, whatever you want to say, on this match with Roman and Corbin. So yes, I think this was the right decision to go home to close the show on that image. I thought it was a strong image.
And after the show, we did get a tweet confirmation from WWE. It will be a TLC match.
Full TLC?
Yeah, between Corbin and Roman Reigns. So
no DQ, meaning Rude and Ziggler and whatever other.
And whoever the hell else was under the ring.
All of Corbin's creepers can come and get Roman.
Right.
So, all right, interesting. So Roman will conquer all at TLC.
Spear him through a ladder and 1, 2, 3, and we're done.
I honestly, Corbin's put on some good gimmick matches before. I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah.
I am skeptical. You know what? Skeptically optimistic right here.
Yep.
The TLC match.
It could be good.
Okay. Could be good. Could be good.
Good.
Lacey Evans is also good. She's very good. As you said, Military Town. She came out to the ring with Sasha Banks. Sasha and she got into it obviously last week. She kind of sucker punched Sasha, and Sasha was not a fan of that.
Yep.
So they got into it in the ring this week, and Lacey has gone, as you said, Nick, she's gone full face. She's talking about her military career.
Her daughter.
She's saying that, my daughter, everything. She's just all kinds of rah-rah. It's only a matter of time before she comes out waving the flag. Everyone's chanting USA, USA at her. It's only a matter of time. We said for a while that you've really got to capitalize on her military background. They apparently, Nick, they listen. They listen.
They also got to capitalize on her ability in the ring. We haven't really seen that much of her in-ring ability.
She's been kind of left high and dry on the main roster. Like, she looked really good in NXT because they were able to control what they showed of her, but she was exposed a lot on the main roster.
True.
And I think they can put her in a better scenario on the main roster to come across better, to present better. That being said, I don't know if this is it, because she and Sasha got into it. She beat down Charlotte, but then got attacked by Bayley from behind. So we're seeing, instead of Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors on Monday, we're seeing All-American Charlotte or Southern Charlotte.
Or military Charlotte. All-American Charlotte. I like that. That's better.
Versus Sasha and Bayley on SmackDown. Is this redundant? Is this a poor way of using Sasha and Bayley here?
No, because I think that Lacey's likely lining up. If I'm reading into this correctly, they're lining Lacey up to be the one to challenge Bayley for the title, because it looks like, if I'm guessing right, that's going to be the match. They're going to have some kind of match, and I haven't seen anything. I don't know if it's confirmed, but yeah, I mean, we had Lacey go after Becky. Now we're having Lacey go after Bayley. So somebody backstage, I'll give you two guesses, is really high on Lacey Evans because she's getting title shot after title shot.
Wait. A tall, statuesque blonde walked by Vince McMahon's office and he pushed her to the top of the card?
I'm just saying.
Shocked.
Have her come out in camouflage. That's about the one way they could have amped this up one step further. Full fatigues, Nick, or something, You and I could probably, because we were saying this in NXT, is it just a matter of when Vince sees her. As soon as he sees her, top of the card. You and I can probably go back and find the date that Vince McMahon saw Lacey Evans, because the day after that is when her push started. Right.
On the main roster. So I think it might have been Rumble last year because she came out for that.
It was whenever Ricochet and Aleister Black came up too. She was part of that group.
Right. But Vince went, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
She's been my
Just have her walk up and down the ramp for 6 months. Yeah.
I was gonna. It was his break. It was his break. Give me a break. I need a 5-minute break. Have Lacey walking up and down the ramp. I'm just gonna sit back here and eat popcorn with my hand down my pants and watch the monitor.
Oh, come on, dude.
All right. So Lacey Evans gets a squash and then squashes Sasha and then gets squashed by Bayley. Cool. Lacey is a facey. We also had Alexa Bliss have a match with Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose, still, they can't seem to do anything with her that doesn't involve feminine looks. She's telling Alexa Bliss she'll never look like her, and then rips off her fake eyelashes. Ow. I've been told that's not as painful as it looks, but it looks, yeah.
So I'm in this match, I'm watching this, and I'm going, oh my God, are they finally going to put Mandy over someone strong? Because 3/4 of the match was all Mandy beating the hell out of Alexa Bliss. And somehow out of nowhere, 5'0" Alexa Bliss gets some moves over on a pro bodybuilder and somehow wins the match with a twisted Bliss that we all love. I'm concerned. I have concerns. When are they gonna do something with Mandy here? Because I thought this was gonna be like Alexa Bliss has been in and out. We know she's had several injuries. We don't know really what the plan is outside of doing this tag thing with Nikki Cross infrequently whenever they feel like it. So when I got kind of excited when we were going to get a little bit of a Mandy push here, she looked really strong through the first 3/4 of that match. Yes, she was yelling at her about beauty and you'll never look like me and all that stuff, but she was doing some good wrestling with her. But then Alexa Bliss just took over for 3 minutes and it was over. And I just went, that's where it breaks down. You had me. Until you just flipped it on.
Until you had the Alexa Bliss Super Alexa comeback.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Nikki Cross is fighting off Sonya Deville as well.
Right. So Sonya Deville and Nikki Cross, hold me back. I absolutely love to see that.
You want that. Yeah. I know you want that.
Yeah.
We did. We had that. It just was a very short match.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after the distraction, everything kind of fell apart, and Alexa got the win. But all right. I'm actually kind of glad that we've got a tag team match that's not to do with the belts. You know what I mean? Makes it feel like there is actually some depth to the women's tag division, which there really isn't. It's a very shallow pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. Cool. Curious to see where they go with this. There are good aspects here.
Have they booked this match for TLC? Do we have this coming now officially?
Maybe the pre-show. I cannot see this match making it to the main show.
Yeah.
I cannot see that if it happens. Drake Maverick is back on TV. He was giving crap to Dana Brooke about her Twitter feud, the opposite of a feud, Twitter flirtations with David Batista, which if you haven't gone and seen them, holy crap, they are wildly entertaining. Basically, he's saying, Dana Brooke, why are you going for this Batista guy? What does he have that I don't?
He's single?
That's...
I mean, 2 months ago, we were doing a thing with Drake Maverick not being able to bet his wife,
Drake Maverick and David Batista stand next to each other. What does he have that I don't? Well, he's single. That's the only thing. You're right. You're totally right. That is the only thing. Elias comes out, starts making fun of Maverick again about some of the things you just mentioned, like, the fact that he still hasn't slept with his wife. And we end up having a match between Elias and Drake Maverick, where Elias pretty much straight up humiliates Drake Maverick, puts him over his knee and spanks him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maverick even gets some grief from Dana Brooke. He tries to run away. She grabs him, throws him back in the ring, and she stands on Maverick's chest while Elias makes a 3 count. So what are we doing here, Nick? What is happening with Drake Maverick? What has happened? I kind of understand.
I'm okay with this because they're trying to give Dana Brooke a little bit of a boost. That's what I'm seeing. Drake Maverick, and I wanted to call Elias Drew.
Oh, Jesus.
Elias and Drake Maverick are just kind of the supporting cast in what I think Dana Brooke has hit a little bit of a moment here.
What did we say? Elias was the 3rd form. You've got the 4 Pokemon forms. You've got Ali, Seth Rollins, Elias,
and Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre is like the Super Squirtle or whatever it is. He's like the final form.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So here's my question. Are we trying to tell some sort of humiliated babyface story with Drake where he's going to get a comeback on these guys who are bullying him? Like, why have Elias and Dana be bullies? Are we going to have EC3 come to his little buddy's aid? That's me fantasy booking.
I liked Elias. I liked Elias. I didn't like him spanking him. I thought that's where it went just really silly and stupid.
It was funny, but it was stupid. Yeah.
I liked Elias's new. He's got some kind of new look going on. He's looking cut up. He's looking in better shape. And I kind of dig Dana Brooke as a valet for Elias. That popped into my head too, and I went, something there. That could be interesting.
It could be interesting. I'm happy with her getting more TV time. Her Batista tweets are the smartest thing she's ever done for her career.
Yep.
Hands down. I got her so much attention. She's been working her ass off, on Main Event and other places in WWE. So she's definitely invested herself in her career, but then she's doing smart working things like the Batista tweets. So I can see
one
her
of those, in case you don't know, she's one of those that's got the reputation backstage that's first one to show up, last one to leave, helps put the ring together, helps take everything down after shows, always traveling, always doing all the stuff, all the good Samaritan things behind the scenes. She's got a wonderful reputation backstage for all of that stuff. So I'm very happy to see Dana Brooke getting an opportunity, even though it is off the back of some accidental, what do you call it, matchmaker sort of thing on Twitter that happened. But she's eating it up. They're giving her the opportunity to go out and do something, even though it was a little bit hammy. I'm happy for Dana getting a chance to do anything and be on TV, frankly.
I agree, and I always am down to see Drake Maverick for the same reason. But again, this was a little worrisome. Finally, speaking of worrisome, the tag division. Oh, Nick, the tag division. We had a number 1 contenders match for the New Day's tag team titles, and it was a 4-way elimination match. Lucha House Party, Heavy Machinery, Revival, and Mustafa Ali and Chad Gable? Huh?
Three face teams and the Revival going for a face tag teams championships.
And the Revival just lost it to New Day so New Day could be in the 3-way Survivor Series match.
Somebody really doesn't like the Revival.
The Revival won again here.
I know.
So now it looks like we're going to get Revival versus New Day at TLC.
Good. Give them a TLC match. Yes.
But they're not going to put the titles back on Revival already, are they? That would be insane. That would really be the most insane thing, to take the titles off of Revival just for Survivor Series and give them back to them right away. That would be the most insane, mind-boggling booking, Nick.
Do we have an update on Xavier Woods where he's at? Is he done?
Not till summer. Till summer.
Okay.
We won't know for a long time. He's got a big road ahead of him.
Yeah, Achilles are not fun to come back from. So here's my thing. Look, not to get too crazy fantasy booking here, but I think there's an inevitability that's approaching around the New Day. I don't know if it's now. I don't know if it's 6 months.
You wanted this all year.
I want the Big E turn. I want Big E to turn on him, and I want Big E monster heel. I want it so bad. I've wanted it for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, doesn't mean you're going to get it.
He's earned it.
He doesn't need it. He hasn't. It's not something that you earn. Like, it's not. I don't think so at all.
I want a Big E singles run, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think a lot of people do, and I think he at some point should get one, but I think that they're still too invested in having the New Day as a tag team to see that. And I'm not seeing any
Well, yeah, they put it back
signs
on
of
him if
that.
for nothing else to give him the 8-time champion title.
Sure.
3 months from now or 2 months from now at Royal Rumble.
Well, they're not gonna jump them that quickly. Anyway, I can't see them juggling them that much. I just think it's insane that once again we have Revival versus New Day, where we just had this a couple of times before Survivor Series to get New Day the titles, and now here we are back again when you've got Heavy Machinery and Lucha House Party. Okay, they're face teams, but it's fresh blood. And then Ali and Gable are now a tag team because we can't think of anything else to do with Ali and Gable. I mean, we don't know for sure that they're going to remain a tag team. They work really well together. But again, it's you don't know what to do with these two guys. You just gave Gable a push and changed his name to that name I shall not mention. And now we're going to go make him a tag team in a division that you already don't know what to do with? What? That hurts my brain.
Here's why the Revival gets it back. You got a tag division full of face teams. They become the one you have to go after. You can't have a bunch of face teams going after the New Day unless you flip somebody.
I'm gonna pull my hair out if they put it back in Revival this quickly.
Get ready.
That's gonna. Then it really
it's gonna happen.
All right. So says Nick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is SmackDown. But that is not all, Nick. We have much more to talk about. So let's head over and discuss New Japan.
Well, we're wrapping up the World Tag League. Are we officially done? No, we've got tonight left. The finals are tonight. So, yeah, break us down real quick, Certain and Dangerous. Where do we stand in the World Tag League standings?
Okay, so we are down to the last three teams. It comes down to the last night. This is Gato booking at its finest. It comes down to who wins and who loses. If Evil and Sonata beat Juice Robinson and David Finlay, they win the whole thing. If they lose, it leaves the door open. Let me see if I can break this down for myself here. So if Evil and Sonata win, they win the whole thing. If they lose and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa win their match against Ishii and Yoshihashi, it is a three-way tie. It is a tie between Evil, Sonata, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Juice Robinson and David Finlay. If Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa lose and Finlay and Robinson win, then Finlay and Robinson win the whole thing. Got that? I know it's a little confusing.
No, right, that was pretty about as straightforward as it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's two matches that determine everything, and it all depends on who wins and who loses. So if we have, basically, if you have, what I suspect is the Evil, Sonata and Juice Robinson, David Finlay will headline the whole show, and you'll probably have Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa win their match, and so that way it will be between a three-way tie and Evil and Sonata taking the whole thing. And also my suspicion is it's going to be a three-way tie. And we're going to have a three-way at Wrestle Kingdom, which is honestly, I think, the most exciting possibility that you could have here at this point.
Yeah, the fact that it's made its way into a three-way tie at the top for the finals, leave it that way.
Yeah,
and then just huge triple threat tag match for the titles at Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, and this is the thing we were saying. It's always Evil and Sonata in the tag team finals at Wrestle Kingdom. Like it just seems to be a thing. Tonga and Loa they're the two tag champs, so they have to be there, you would assume. And David Finlay and Juice Robinson aren't doing anything. So we were saying like that was the thing we couldn't figure out is how are you going to make all these things work? Well, you can have the strength of Evil and Sonata there, the champs are there, and you can have something interesting like Robinson and Finlay there to make it more of an entertaining match. So I think they've done a really good job of finishing this out. Hopefully it does go to that three-way tie. Because if it's not, if it's just Sonata and Evil versus Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa again, not quite as excited about that.
Yeah.
So that is going on tonight, Sunday night in Japan, tonight over here in the old United States. So keep your eyes on the finals of the World Tag League.
Yes,
sir.
Well, let's jump. Thank you very much for that. Let's jump over and go over NXT UK really quickly. We had a spot where Toni Storm saved Piper Niven from Kaylee Ray, but rejected her help. This could actually turn into something good here. What do you think about what happened in this match?
I'm curious what they're going to do here. If it's going to be a three-way, if they're just trying to build some tension between Toni and Piper Niven so that you can have Kaylee Ray, Piper Niven, and Toni Storm all for the championship, or if it's going to have to be Toni goes through Piper to get back to Kaylee Ray. I'm curious what they're doing here. It's funny because we also had Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster say they want a title match for the tag team titles. They want their title shot again. Ain't gonna happen anytime soon, boys.
No.
Because Imperium, they're getting that tag title shot first. So right now, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, a.k.a. Gallus, are holding the tag titles. And Joe Coffey, another member of Gallus, wants Walter. They've been building that for a while. Walter is the current holder of the NXT UK championship, as we all know. He said, you're not getting that title shot, Joe Coffey, unless I get what I want, which is my boys, Aichner and Barthel. They're going to have a title shot against Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. That's going to happen next week. Ilya Dragunov, the other guy who's aligning himself with Gallus right now, he's going to face Alexander Wolf, my other dude from Imperium, in a no DQ match. And then, only if we do that, you get a match at TakeOver Blackpool 2, Joe Coffey versus Walter. So that all got set up, and then there was a big old scuffle at the end of the show. And Dragunov got put through a table, and it was madness and all kinds of fun. Good stuff.
Really good show this week.
Yep. It was a good show. We also had, I wondered, hey, man, you wonder what happened to Riddick Moss? We found him. He's back in the tag team with Dorian Mack. They're called the Outliers. They had a very nice match with the Hunt. Riddick Moss has gotten huge, dude. He was always a big boy, but he is just ginormous. We saw a backstage segment where Jazzy Gabbert and Ginny, who have been aligned, they're kind of having some tension. I'm wondering if they're going to break up. That's interesting. And that three-way match I talked to you about last week, Joseph Connors, Travis effing Banks, and El Ligero, ended up with Joseph Connors picking up the win. That was a really, really fun match. Good stuff on NXT UK this week, except for the fact that Walter was in Chicago and his car got broken into, and some jackass stole his passport and the WWE NXT UK Championship belt, the prettiest belt in the company. Don't at me. Wow, that sucks. Tim Thatcher's car got hit too. Also got broken into. But yeah, if you were in the Chicago area, keep your eyes out for some jackass holding Walter's belt. And my recommendation, do not approach this man or woman, whoever's got the belt. Don't approach them. Don't do anything. Just call Walter and tell him where they are, and he'll take care of it. He'll take care of it.
Or the police. Call the police.
Nah, it's not as fun.
That's true. Well, Ian, as we wrap things up here, we always like to end, or it's something new, I guess I should say, that based on one of our listeners' requests, I think it was Sean Clark, if I'm not mistaken, suggested we do a moment of positivity every week, and we are going to make a concerted effort to do that in every single show. So, Ian, what was the most positive thing?
Sean Clark, you are correct.
Yeah. What was the most positive thing you could say about this week in professional wrestling?
I have not laughed so hard, so consistently, and been so entertained by a GIF as I was with Keith Lee looming up over Finn Balor. I have seen so many different memes made out of it. I mean, we had that awesome pounce last week, but it tickled me.
You think this was better than the pounce?
It tickled, but I laughed more at it. I've seen people get pounced into the crowd before. I've seen fun stuff like that, or pounced out of the ring. And we've seen wrestlers loom before, come out of nowhere and loom. This was just such a good one. It was such a good one.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Really good.
Keith looks so much bigger than Finn. I even thinking about it now, I had this big smile on my face. That was my moment of positivity this week was, and also it helped that it was Keith Lee and just,
oh yeah,
a lot of love for that guy.
Our boy.
Yeah, our boy. So yeah, that's my one. It just tickles me every time I see it.
I'm a huge fan of the military and a supporter of the military, and I always love when they come to North Carolina, and I was very happy to see the video package in depth. And there's an even longer one online that I watched and WWE is notorious for always doing great memorials in support of the military and visiting the troops overseas and doing things like that. So mine was definitely them visiting Camp Lejeune, getting to see them interact and take pictures and meet and greet with all of the soldiers stationed at Camp Lejeune. That's going to be mine because it's hard to top that. I love when they do things like that. It makes when you're a soldier living in the barracks doing chores every day or doing drills every day, having an hour to sit around and talk wrestling with some superstars, getting to meet them.
Right.
And they're just in their plain clothes and they're just real people, and you just get to rap with them for an hour. that will absolutely change your day in a heartbeat. So 2 thumbs up, WWE, for always being big supporters of the military. And for everybody that served, thank you for your service. Much appreciated.
Well, all right. Well,
Ian, that wraps up our show for this week. Oh, wait, we're not done. We've got just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, yeah. A lot of news today. The ratings are out. We always do a little rating segment right here. And AEW did have a bit of a comeback this week. Neck and neck with NXT. NXT barely getting beat by only 6,000 people. 851,000 for AEW. 845,000 for NXT. 0.29 in the demo for NXT and 0.32 for AEW. So just barely, they're neck and neck again. But a big rebound from Thanksgiving when everyone went over to Papaw's house and had them some turkey.
Right.
And all watched it on Papaw's TV, which is why all the over 50s were just making NXT huge last week. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Dio Madden officially out of commentary. He got F5'd all the way back to NXT, and they're saying he wants to concentrate on his wrestling career, which is, for me, that's just code for Vince didn't like you. But who knows? We don't know if that's speculation. Wild, unfettered speculation. But he is going back to NXT probably to...
He wanted to focus on returning to the ring, I think was the headline that I read.
Yes.
All right. Good luck. Have fun in the PC.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we've got Samoa Joe on commentary on Mondays instead. And honestly, that's a trading up. Joe is the best thing that's happened to that table in years. Holy crap, he's good. Holy crap, he's good.
Yeah,
I almost don't want him to come back into the ring. But... at the same time, I totally do. I want Joe to get at least one big title in WWE. But, he's got somewhere I could see him going if he ever does retire and say his body can't take anymore, because he has been injured pretty consistently since he came to the main roster.
Yeah.
WWE released a official announcement that John Morrison will be coming back to WWE. We knew that it was happening a while back because it was reported as such. WWE just officially made it. Right. WWE made it official this week. He is coming back.
And he was on that episode of The Bump that we did a watch party for in the group this week. So he's out now, and everybody knows, and it's coming.
He's coming. And
Royal Rumble. I'm sorry. Did I say? I'm sorry. I said that.
I was going to help The Miz against Bray. Sorry. Excuse me. But keep your eye out. Taya Valkyrie has a title match coming up in Impact. She loses that title, she could be out the door. Her contract reportedly is up at the beginning of January.
And they could be the new lover couple to replace Mike Kanellis and Maria.
Don't give anyone else that love gimmick.
Please don't. And
don't
please don't do that.
Don't even say they're married, because as soon as you say that they're married, there's going to be some sort of stupid cuck angle, and it's going to just be horrible again. Speaking of signing with WWE, Oney Lorcan, who we thought was out the door because he changed his name to Biff Busick and announced that he was heading out. Well, he just announced, nope, I just re-signed a multi-year deal with WWE. Now, granted, he announced it on Twitter. We haven't heard any official reports if that's true or not, if it's all getting worked again. No idea what's going on there, but all right, Oney's gone. He's not gone. Who knows?
Does he come back as Oney? Does he come back as Biff Busick?
I don't know. I think he comes back as Oney because that's his WWE name, and he wants to keep Biff for himself when he goes indie again. I can't keep up with Oney Lorcan. Oh, my God. At least he's back to tweeting all in all caps. So, yeah, that's good. Within this week, the free tier of the WW Network will launch. It's basically a bunch of stuff that, if you sign up for free, you'll get a whole bunch of content for free. It's currently being tested in beta. Should be wrapped up this week and ready to go by the new year. We knew it was coming for a while, Nick. The question is if they raise the price of the regular admission from $9.99 to something more, or if they create a third elite tier on top of the regular one that we all have right now.
Fine. So, do it. Make it. I'd pay $20 a month to watch all the pay-per-views all year. Are you kidding me? Yeah, do the free tier, do the $9.99, do a $19.99.
No, don't give them ideas. $9.99.
Well, I don't want to see them struggle anymore over subscriptions and things like that to be able to pay to fund all of these shows that we love and enjoy.
You know how many people they're going to drive away if they raise it to $20?
They'll come back.
Oh, my entire yeah, like all of the ratings have come back, right? Like they've rebounded for the last 5 years. Okay.
You'll recognize after paying $60 for every AEW pay-per-view just how good you've got it. So
that is
fight
definitely true. People are already starting to gripe about AEW's pay-per-view monetization, including Mr. Nick Howell. Speaking of AEW, what the actual hell was up with that advertisement that played on TNT talking about how AEW smashed NXT? In fact, it put up a whole bunch of little article titles quoting how much AEW was ruining NXT and crushing NXT. It was a bit of a topic because why is AEW giving free advertising to NXT? Back in the day, you didn't say the name of the other brand because it was free advertising for them.
Did I miss this? Is it only regional? Was it only played in certain markets?
No, it was international. Wow. So the question is, right now the speculation is it was TNT. And everyone is saying, who vetted that commercial? Who did that? That was dumb. Don't do that. Don't talk about your competition. Don't brag that you're beating them when they beat you last week and they pretty much tied you this week. And they beat you the week before. So I question them putting up that commercial. As I said, the reports are it was TNT who did it, not AEW. But
I have a golden rule that I use, and I tell all of my teams when they're engaging with customers, the more time you spend talking about your competition, that's less time you're talking about your stuff. Spend time and focus on talking about your stuff. They'll F it up themselves one way or another. Don't help them in one way or another.
Right, and don't make it about us versus them because they're just doing their own thing.
Yep.
I haven't seen NXT flinch to either side yet. Yeah, I mean the only thing you could say was that Britt Baker shot, and they admitted that was an accident right away. So, and even then they didn't say where she worked. So, speaking of AEW, Marty Scurll to AEW might not be a lock. There's actually rumors out now that he may actually re-sign with Ring of Honor. Apparently, they opened up the wallet for this boy. They want him to stay because they know he's one of the best things that they have. And apparently, Marty's also open to going back to New Japan. Might not be as excited about going to AEW as people think because, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Nick, it's kind of crowded over there in AEW right now. Not a whole lot of place for a villain to fit in. So Marty may not be going back as reported, or this could be information that's getting out there to make his deal with AEW a little bit sweeter. Reportedly, Tony Khan is not feeling like pulling out the big purse strings right now because he's spending a lot of money already. But this could all be just a way for Marty to get a bigger paycheck from Tony Khan. Like, if you want me, you got to pay for me. I mean, look at these offers I'm getting from Ring of Honor. I could go back to New Japan.
Yeah, it's smart.
So, but basically, that is the scuttlebutt right now, is that Marty to AEW, shockingly, not a lock. However, ACH to MLW confirmed. We had MLW's Opera Cup this last weekend. And ACH, formerly Jordan Miles, who recently had that falling out with WWE over the racist shirt, he went to MLW. MLW, the home for broken toys. However, that's not all. Because not only did he go to MLW, but then someone let him use Twitter.
Ugh.
And that was a bad idea because what we've learned over the last little bit is that ACH and Twitter don't get along. Sure enough, right off the bat, we had a gentleman text him in Spanish. Let me see if I got the translation here. He tweeted him in Spanish only. I supported you from Mexico, and it's a shame to see how crying and fragile you turned out to be. Besides, irresponsible. The initial tweet was, I'm not even trying to read it in Spanish. Yo te apoyaba desde México y es una pena ver lo llorón que frágil y resultaste ser además de irresponsable. I did try to read it. Okay. To which ACH replied, bitty bitty bomb to you too. So,
okay.
which for a dude who's crying about racism seems like an odd thing to say.
Here's the one that boggles my mind. He tweeted later, I hate pro wrestling. I hate you shitty fans that think you know it all. More importantly, I hate the snakes in this industry. None of y'all would never say anything about me to me. All of y'all can go screw yourselves. I'm canceling my shows, and I'm quitting pro wrestling.
Yeah, 7:33 a.m. He followed that with chasing my dream was great, but you self-entitled pricks ruin everything. I'm out. Interesting. Also, it's his birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday, ACH. Get some help.
Yeah, get some help.
Seriously, like I want to believe in this guy. He's wildly talented. He's charismatic as hell. But at the same time, there's obviously something going on here. And, to his point, I don't think it's all the wrestling fans.
Or I want to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
I kind of understand where he's coming from. The problem is you are a public-facing figure, and you just have to tune that shit out, dude. Yes,
we all do.
Wrestling Twitter sucks. It's toxic as hell.
Trust me.
And there's a reason I stay off of it for 99% of the time. We as a show try to engage with the people we want to engage with, but there's a reason that we're not on there as more than we are. And you need to just tune it out and go do something besides read Twitter, because all you're going to read is negativity 99% of the time. So what are you... Again, tact. I'll throw my word back out there. Tact. You've burned all the bridges now, brother. And I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
I mean, if you burn a bridge with MLW, you're really in trouble. You know what I mean? Like they've shown that they're willing to work with some of the most troublesome people in the wrestling world. And he had the opportunity to go out there and rebuild fan trust and fan support. Apparently the locker room wasn't happy with him, but again, that's just rumor and speculation. I don't have that from an actual source, from a legitimate source, I should say. But at the same time, like, there was an opportunity here for him to go out, hit the reset button, and try again. And as you said, Nick, there is also the argument, yes, wrestling Twitter can be really toxic, and when fans go for you, they can be really vicious. At the same time, there is something more going on here, where this guy definitely needs someone's got to sit him down and screw his head on straight.
Yeah,
because he has so much talent and so much opportunity, and if he tunes out whatever it is in his head that's sabotaging himself, and whatever other elements that are out there that are tormenting him, he's got all of the chances in the world. The other thing that was crazy to me is last night he tweeted out, I'm going to try and find it here real quick, because he's got a lot of tweets in the last 24 hours. Like I said, somebody needed to keep him off of Twitter. Okay, here it is. I found it 17 hours ago. He said, "I think AEW is awesome." And this is his words. "But me heart is being a WWE superstar and becoming one of the absolute best ever to do it, period." This was in answer to a question, what would it take for you to get back in WWE or another major promotion that states like AEW? So I thought you just left WWE because they were racist and you hate them and you're really mad at them. Now he says, my heart is being a WWE superstar. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in my man's head here. I don't anymore. And like I said, I wish him the best. I wish someone would get him some help.
Yeah.
Speaking of MLW working with tough people, Teddy Hart. I reported last week that he'd gone AWOL from MLW. Well, they officially have cut ties with Teddy Hart. There's a great article I found that's just a big picture of Teddy Hart. It says Teddy Hart and MLW, and at the bottom, the whole article is just MLW has severed ties with Teddy Hart. No explanation.
That's it.
None needed. None needed. If you know anything about Teddy Hart, you know that this probably has been coming for a while, and it makes a total amount of sense. If you don't know, I'll post the video of Teddy Hart like high on coke, ranting in a car with a disco ball in it. You'll see what I mean. It's insanity. So yeah, Teddy Hart out of MLW. ACH in? We don't know. We don't know what's going on with ACH.
No, he quit wrestling, remember?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, wait and see. So did Ric Flair said he
doesn't
retired.
negate a contract, you know?
Yeah. Everyone always says they're retired and then they come back.
Right.
Bobby Fulton from the Fantastics. Bobby Fulton has throat cancer. He just announced on Twitter. He asked for your prayers. He said, had a very important doctor's appointment today. News wasn't what I wanted to hear. I want no sympathy. Just informing you that I have cancer in my throat. It's going to be treated. Game plan is being put together this Tuesday. I want your continued prayers. No sympathy, just prayers. Thanks. Get well, Bobby. Get well, Bobby. One of the Midnight Express's greatest opponents. Rock and Roll Express, greatest opponents, Bobby Fulton with the Fantastics. So get well soon. Jordan Grace, as we mentioned, will be challenging Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts belt at Hard to Kill at the Bomb Factory in Dallas, Texas on January 12th. Also just added to the match ODB, so now it's a three-way. Jordan Grace, Taya Valkyrie, and ODB. Sounds like that's a way out for Taya.
Old dirty bastard?
Title. No, ODB. If you don't know ODB, go look her up at Impact. Yeah. But also at that show, Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan for the heavyweight belt, and Ace Austin versus Trey Miguel for the X Division belt. NWA Power went home to their Into the Fire pay-per-view this week with if you haven't seen the show yet, Nick Aldis is just knocking these studio promos out of the park. It's like he's watched every studio promo ever, internalized them all, and now is externalizing that in some of the greatest promos. Like, it's him and Jericho for me. It's some of the greatest modern promos right now.
He's gone to the Ric Flair NWA school of promoing. The Four Horsemen. Yeah, just
killing it. Killing it. Called out James Storm. We're going to get a 2 out of 3 falls match between James Storm and Nick Aldis.
And I thought this was interesting. We're going to have different refs for each fall.
It's interesting.
That's clever.
Right? So first fall, second fall, both are going to have a ref picked by each of the competitors. Third fall, I think they flip a coin who picks it. James Storm picked Brian Hebner, and Nick Aldis picked Tim Storm, the guy he took the belt from in the first place. Interesting plot twist.
Yes.
That could be very interesting stuff. Camille has been given the night off because she was seen talking to James Storm. Naughty Camille.
She was actually speaking.
Well, you couldn't hear what she was saying.
Right.
In his ear. And the fact that Nick Aldis doesn't know what she said to him is driving him a little bit nuts. Naughty. Also this week, the Rock and Roll Express beat the Wild Cards. The Rock and Roll Express are your old, new NWA Tag Team Champions.
What?
They got one more run with it.
Did I get in the DeLorean and go back to 1988 and
honestly, go check out this match. They actually, for their age, they looked great.
Wow.
They looked great. So wild. Rock and Roll Express is your NWA World Champions. What year is it? Good Lord. And then finally, there is a report out there. Apparently, user Jack Honecker on Reddit reported that Jamie Noble was in his local Applebee's and for some reason walked over to a dude's table, flipped the table, and started choking dude out in the Applebee's. And I have done my best trying to find a report about this or something else about this. I don't know if Jamie Noble actually flipped the table at Applebee's and choked the dude out, but there's a report out there that he did. And something about the fact that Jamie Noble still lives in a trailer park and is at the Applebee's choking dudes out and flipping tables is both really depressing and really awesome.
Is he tall enough to flip a table?
You damn righty. It's Jamie Noble. Flip your table, man. Don't you talk smack about Jamie Noble.
All right.
Or he'll flip your table at Applebee's.
Flip my table, I guess.
He'll flip your table and choke you out at Applebee's. And that is the news, Nick.
All right. Well, thank you, Sir Ian Dangerous. And thank you guys for joining us. Special shout out to everybody in the chat. Thanks for hanging in with us today. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be right back after this show with our patron mailbag as we do every Saturday. But guys, come over and join us on Facebook. Just search for Busted Wide Open. Like our page and send us a join request to get into the group where you'll find a link to our Discord community where you can get into all of the live chats for all the shows all throughout the week, as well as dedicated chat channels. Dedicated chat channels for every pay-per-view. As we close out the year here, we're heading into the road to WrestleMania, so those are going to be really fun chats to have. So make sure you're in Discord. Also, make sure you find the pin post on Facebook in the discussion group to vote on our inaugural Busties categories. So we are going to be launching for our December patron bonus episode. We are going to be launching the Busties Awards, and we'll be doing these every year in December to give out whatever categories you guys decide. So we put a few out there and asked you guys what you want. Whichever 10 get the most votes are going to be getting the awards. So thank you guys for your contributions so far, but keep voting. We're going to let that run until we do the show, I believe, sometime.
You can vote on multiple different ones at the same time.
Vote for as many as you want to see, because at the end, sometime before Christmas, we're going to do that episode, and so you guys have plenty of time to get your votes in. But don't wait.
Yeah.
Make sure you get those in as soon as possible. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcasts. Follow us over there. And streaming live right here on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Come join us, everybody in the chat. We tell you that you're missing out on some good times by not being here live with us. If you can, we understand if you can't, but try if you can. Thanks to everybody that showed up today. We had a few newcomers show up, so shout out to you guys. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And you can also, so make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and you jingle that little notification bell so you get alerted whenever we put up some new content or go live. And last but certainly not least, I mentioned we are going to do our patron mailbag, but to be able to submit questions for that, you got to be over at patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those exclusive reward tiers where you can get access to the show notes for each and every episode, the ability to send in questions for the patron mailbag series, other good perks, sweet swag, bonus episodes, you name it, we got it over at patreon.com/BWO. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Data Center Dude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.